Welcome to the channel. I'm working on my International TD6 crawler. I took the intake manifold off. I had it machined. It had a slight warp to it. Been having a little problem getting it started when it's cold, so I'm going to get it put back together and see if that helped. Alright, I've got the intake manifold off. Actually, as long as this thing has been in the family, it's always rough to start on gas when it's cold. If it runs every couple of days, it'll start right up in gas mode, but if it sits for a few weeks or if it's a month, it's even worse. And I've done everything I could think of to this thing over the years. A couple years ago, I rebuilt the magneto. The carburetor's been rebuilt, full tune-up. All the adjustments and the gas to diesel switch over, that's all been set. So I got to be thinking, maybe that intake manifold has a slight warp to it and it's sucking air somewhere around here when it's cold. Instead of drawing the fuel mixture through the carburetor, it's maybe sucking in around a gasket when the machine is warm, or if you just use it the next day or two, it'll start right up no problem. So I'm thinking maybe that manifold's got a little warp to it, and when it gets warm it might seal a little better. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to get the side of the head here cleaned up before the new gaskets go on. I had to make my own gaskets. These are discontinued from International, and I couldn't find them aftermarket. You have to buy a complete engine rebuild gasket set to get these. And I've got a video out on how I did this. I'll put a link to it at the end of this one. Okay, we'll take a look at this manifold here in a minute. You know, it's tough to find a machine shop around here anymore that does engine work. I found a place about an hour drive from here called Advanced Engine, Plymouth, Indiana. Looks like they did a good job. Family-owned business, and I dropped it off to them one day. They called me the next, said it was all done. Let's open this up, see what it looks like. Now the owner said there was a little bit of a warp to it, and he's done these before. He said it's kind of common for them to twist a little bit. It wasn't much. I don't know if it was enough to cause any issue, and when I took it apart I didn't see any sign of it leaking air in there, but I thought at least I can eliminate this if I get it machined. So it's ready to put on. Let's get going on that. All right, this carburetor, here's the butterfly valve. All that is just a choke. The choke rod works this, so you have some air coming in here. So this is a 1-speed carburetor. It only runs like a fast idle. Use the end of a drill bit to check this clearance. And at one time, either my dad or my grandfather, I think they raised this up thinking that it may draw more gas in there. Well, when I rebuilt this carburetor, I put it back down to the factory specs because my thinking is it might have to have that exact clearance to get the right Venturi effect so it draws the fuel up. If it's moving too much air, it may not put a suction down here into the bowl. And it seemed to help maybe a little bit, but not quite. I'm going to put the carburetor on a manifold first. I took the carburetor off before I took the manifold, and it's a bear to get to the back bolts. So I'm going to put this together now and then put it in place and hoping I can line everything up. All right, everything's hooked up. Let's give it a shot. I'm not expecting any miracles. Seemed to start a little easier, but it's also 80 degrees in here. I'm gonna let it sit. Hopefully we'll have a cool day coming up, and I'm gonna try it again. I'm not totally convinced that fixed it, but I hope it did. It's been about 3 weeks since I put that manifold back on. It's not really cool. It's about 70 degrees, but otherwise we're still in the middle of summer, but I wanted to try it. I'm gonna see if it's gonna start any easier. I'll let it run for a couple of minutes, get some heat in the engine, and then switch it over to diesel. Okay, it seems to start easier. I got a comment recently from a guy who's got one of these machines, and he's looked at my other videos on this, and he said when I started, you're getting a lot of black smoke out of the exhaust, like it's running too rich. And I've always thought the same thing. He said he would pull his choke out, hit the starter, once it'd fire, push the choke into about a quarter choke. But with this machine, I've always had trouble for years. Once it would fire, I pushed the choke in and it would die. The only way I could keep it running was to keep pulling the choke out. It'd speed up a little bit, I'd push it in, and it would want to die. Just before it would die, I'd pull it back out, it'd fire again. So it's kind of a little bit hard to figure out. I'll wait until we have some cold weather. This is still middle of July. September, October, it'll be some colder days, and I'll start it up. But hopefully it'll take care of it. So anyway, I hope you liked this video. If you did, leave me a comment, see what you think. Maybe you got an idea. Maybe there's something I missed on this thing. Hit that like button and subscribe button if you already haven't. Thanks for watching.